Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
So we're doing this from bed, guys. We thought we were done, but hey, we got to talk about this one.
This is a big one, no pun intended.
Yeah, this one's kind of crazy. So our brothers Mark and Raven and Netsiah were all talking about strange quakes, and they sent through text, and I saw it off the coast of Florida, and where this little diamond is. And when I saw a diamond, that's usually a quarry blast. It's usually some sort of explosion. So you click on it and it says experimental explosion, 170 kilometers east northeast of Ponce Inlet, Florida, 3.9. That's a big explosion. 3.9 quake, equal to a 3.9 quake. The curious thing too is this is exactly the area that many people, including Deborah Tavares, for you that are familiar with her, have talked about where this would be the target area of a tsunami bomb. And to see this here, that woke me up quick. And you see here, USGS reports 3.9 magnitude experimental explosion off Florida coast. First Coast News has learned a Navy is conducting shock trials in the area, similar to the 2016 explosion that triggered concerns of an earthquake. Now, you remember we had those quakes over in Alabama, right on the Alabama-Florida border. That was unusual. But this is obviously something that is man-made. And in effect, I have heard it said many times from different sources, even in the news, that if we were going to go into a WW3 scenario, this could be one of the ways it starts, because they would actually target here and Cascadia in order to get the most effect. As far as, and confusion, people might be wondering, did La Palma go? Did Cascadia go? Is this natural or is this an attack? So, this, wow, this really gets me, my eyes are wide open and I'm waiting to see what comes next. So a military experimental explosion off the coast of Florida registered as a 3.9 magnitude shock on the USGS website Friday evening. Usually when you see quarry blasts too, they're less than a 1. They're like 0.6, 0.8. This is a big explosion. Mm-hmm. This was, they launched bunker busters during these wars over in Iraq and other areas. They don't register this big. This was big. This is kind of crazy. And those of you that subscribe to Dabu, he was talking about how, hackers are targeting our water supply. And we've been talking about there's covert warfare going on. Even though the puppet masters can't control both sides, most definitely there's covert warfare going on. And here you see an article from back in 2017. Russia can cause tsunami near U.S. with ocean-buried nuclear bombs. So is this the U.S. testing out something small to see what type of wave they can produce? Something small in regards to what we're talking about with Russia here. And those of you that studied it, Tsar Bomba is just a massive nuclear warhead that is, I forget how many times Hiroshima, probably thousands. It's so big. What type of tsunami could something like that cause? And here we see in this article, a retired Russian colonel claims that Moscow has planted nuclear missiles off the east coast of America that could trigger a tsunami if detonated, according to a report in British Daily Telegraph. The quote-unquote far-fetched plans were outlined by Victor Baronets, who claimed it was a response to the U.S. beefing up its military presence along Russian borders. Americans are deploying their tanks, airplanes, and special force battalions along the Russian border. He said, "We are quietly seeding the U.S. shoreline with nuclear mole missiles. They dig themselves in and sleep." We've been talking about sleeping cells and sleepers of all sorts. Until they're given the command, any such tsunami would destroy cities like New York and Miami. Former officials said Russia has come up with an effective way to defend itself while operating with a much smaller military budget than the USA. The US, the permanent world champion in size of military budget, when this article was written, it was 600 billion, much closer to 800 billion and probably and realistically a trillion. And that was 10 times more than Russia's. Russia won't compete with the US in defense expenditure. We're in a different weight class. For us, the main question is how to ensure Russia's defense at lower cost. And I am sure we have already found asymmetrical responses. I don't see a big problem here. So, this is pretty wild because, this is a retired Russian colonel saying that there are bombs off the US coast. Then you have insiders and people such as Deborah Tavares that's done a lot of research saying, well, what they would do is they would explode something off of basically around Jacksonville because it would affect everything from Miami on up through Virginia Beach. It would be devastating. And here we have a 3.9 quote unquote experimental explosion. So I got to wonder, were we testing something because we know what the Russians are doing? Or did we find something that the Russians had planted and blew it up?
Well, as you're talking, and I'm, always asking with the guides, and we asked earlier, what was this? And I know it says experimental, but the word should have been accidental. And they're also telling me that this could have been much, much, much bigger than it was. So I got to say, and as I go in to get this information, you guys, I'm getting exhausted. So there's a lot of blocking of this information going on right now because it's like my energy is pushing against something else trying to get this info.
So an accident on whose part? Was it the American Navy? Was it the Russians? Was it
the Russians?
This was the Russians.
It's some kind of accident having to do with the Russians. Yeah, I mean, I can't get any particulars right now, but I can get big answers like that. That's what I got.
And we've shared with you guys that the guides have said to us there's a real potential that the next WW #3 could start by the end of the year or early 2022. In all honesty, it feels to me like the powers that be want to see the CIVIL WAR, which will start as a secessionist movement, which is already underway. Just follow what's happening in Florida, follow what's happening in Texas. That is already underway, and there will be legislation coming through at some point where officially there will be states leaving. That's part of this bigger plan that's underway. But they wanted to start that going because that would weaken the entire country much, much more. And while the country was looking internally, then external forces could take advantage of that. As we know, there's always lions at the gate just waiting to pounce. So very, very interesting to say the least. Very curious. I look forward to your guys' comments on what you think is going on with this. That's a 3.9.
Mm-hmm.
Basically a 4. That's significant. And if you're talking an explosion, the only question I have is, was it nuclear?
Mm-hmm.
What do you have anything from the guides on that?
No, that's totally black. It's like they've just done a blackout on it too.
And then I wonder with that, I mean, so far there hasn't been any tsunami, and this was hours ago. So,
what I am getting though is something seeping in is through the galactic, some type of interference though. So it could have stopped something big.
Do you think the galactic stepped in? Is this what you're getting?
This is what I'm getting now. It's just really difficult to get the info. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe this was going to be, what we had seen in the headline over here about Russia causing a tsunami near the U.S. with ocean-buried nuclear bombs, and the galactic stopped it, perhaps.
Yeah, and all of you starseeds out there who have always been constantly working on an outcome that is more positive, this I feel is attributed to you. Thank you out there for all of your good vibrations, because I feel it made a difference.
Yes, thanks you guys for keep putting the positive intentions. Obviously, we got to keep up with what's happening. I know there are people that want to put their head in the sand or just, do the la 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 la, I can't hear you to the whole world. But, there's major things underway, so we do need to be prepared. And at the same time, we do need to put in our intention and asking the higher powers for their aid and staving off the very, very dark plans of the.
Kayla, right now we are following some breaking news. A military experimental explosion is being blamed for what appears to be an earthquake off the coast of Florida.
Guys.
Now, this registered.
Interesting how they always pop up.
Yeah.
Right when we're talking about the dark plans of the dark entities that run the show here, because their time is limited and they're going to get their butts kicked off the planet, hopefully sooner than later.
Right.
From what we get, we have a little bit of time to go through still. So again, keep your guard up, stay prepared, keep putting out the positive vibes, and much love. As always, guys, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.